The humans had always been quiet observers of the stars. From their small blue planet, they had watched countless alien races rise and fall, wars rage across the galaxy, and empires expand and collapse. Yet, Earth remained largely unnoticed. To most of the galaxy, humans were weak, primitive, and unworthy of attention. They had no fleets, no weapons of mass destruction, and no influence beyond their tiny corner of the universe. That assumption, however, was about to shatter. It began on a calm morning. The sun rose over the cities, rivers, and mountains, and humans went about their normal lives, completely unaware that the galaxy's most dangerous armada was moving closer. Sensors scattered across the solar system detected the arrival of hundreds of alien warships. These ships were massive, some larger than cities, bristling with energy cannons and shields that could withstand the most advanced attacks. The aliens called themselves the Zyphorians, a race feared for their cruelty and efficiency in war. They had conquered dozens of star systems, leaving devastation in their wake. On Earth, the human military command scrambled to analyze the data. The reports made even the most seasoned officers uneasy. "They're coming faster than expected," said Admiral Kane, a veteran of Earth Space Forces. "And they're not coming to negotiate. This is an invasion." Despite the looming threat, there was no panic among humans. Instead, a calm determination spread through the ranks. They knew they were outmatched in size and firepower. But humans had something few other species possessed: unpredictable ingenuity. Commander Elena Voss, the leader of Earth's small but highly skilled fleet, studied the alien formations on her holoscreen. Her eyes narrowed. "They assume we are weak," she said quietly. "They think this will be an easy victory. Let's prove them wrong." The human fleet was tiny compared to the Zyphorian Armada. Where the aliens had hundreds of colossal warships, humans had only a few dozen vessels. Most were standard defense ships, armed with energy weapons, shields, and advanced sensors. But there was one unusual feature. Their weapons were set to stun rather than destroy. The scientists had developed non-lethal energy weapons capable of shutting down alien systems temporarily, leaving the ships powerless without destroying them. It was a gamble. No one had ever faced an entire galactic armada using only non-lethal force. Many advisors had warned Commander Voss against it. "They will just ignore the stun," they said. "They'll crush us before the first shot takes effect." But Voss believed in her crew and in human ingenuity. "We're not here to destroy," she said. "We're here to control. Once we show them what humans are capable of, the galaxy will never underestimate us again." The first human ships uncloaked near the edge of the alien formation. The Zyphorians noticed immediately and laughed at the sight of the small vessels approaching. "Pathetic," their commander boomed across the comm network. "Do these humans think they can challenge us with these tiny ships?" The humans did not respond. They held their positions, engines humming softly. Sensors picked up the energy signatures of the Zyphorian weapons. Shields were strong. Defenses were tight, but human ships were ready. Then the battle began. Without warning, the humans fired their first volley. Not lethal beams, not missiles, but stunning pulses of energy. The effect was immediate. Alien ships froze in midspace, engines sputtering, weapons offline. The Zyphorians were stunned, literally. Their first instinct was to retaliate, but their systems were malfunctioning. One by one, their ships became immobilized, drifting like massive metal ghosts. A stunned silence fell over both fleets. The aliens could not comprehend it. "Impossible," roared the Zyphorian commander. "Their weapons, they are not killing, yet they disable our entire systems." Human ships glided through the disabled fleet with precise movements, avoiding collisions and maintaining formation. The crew worked seamlessly, every order executed with perfect timing. The humans were not attacking recklessly. They were orchestrating a masterful symphony of control. Meanwhile on Earth, civilians watched the incoming alien fleet with fear and awe. Broadcasts of the first encounters spread quickly across the planet. People were afraid, but they also felt a spark of hope. For the first time, it seemed humans might not only survive, they might win. In the alien fleet, panic began to spread. Zyphorian captains tried to reboot their systems, fire back, or regroup. But every attempt failed. Every movement they made was anticipated by the humans. It was as if the human commanders could see the future. "This is not strategy," one alien officer muttered in disbelief. "This is magic." The humans had anticipated their every move. Commander Voss had studied alien tactics for decades. She knew how they thought, how they reacted under pressure, and how their pride could be used against them. Every stun pulse was aimed not to destroy, but to manipulate, to control, to force the Zyphorians into mistakes. As the first hour of the encounter passed, it became clear that the aliens were losing not because of brute force, but because of human intelligence. Ships collided with each other, energy fields overloaded, and formations collapsed. The once terrifying Armada was now a chaotic mess, drifting helplessly under the careful guidance of a small human fleet. A message from the Zyphorian flagship was broadcast across the galaxy. "Humans they are, too powerful. How can a species so small control us without killing us?" Commander Voss smiled at the screen. "Size does not matter," she said. "Strategy and courage do." But the humans did not stop. They moved deeper into the Armada, stunning ship after ship. Some of the aliens tried to escape, but humans anticipated their routes and blocked them. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. In the midst of the chaos, one of the largest Zyphorian warships, a massive dreadnought, tried to charge directly at Earth. It fired a barrage of energy beams meant to annihilate everything in its path. The humans were ready. Their stun pulses hit the dreadnought, causing its systems to collapse mid-charge. It drifted harmlessly into the void, engines dead, unable to fire again. The unexpected turning point was clear. The humans had not just survived, they had mastered the battle. They were not destroying their enemies, they were controlling them. And in doing so, they sent a message to the galaxy. Humans are not to be underestimated. Yet, Commander Voss knew this was only the beginning. The Zyphorians were smart, ruthless, and adaptive. They would regroup, analyze, and come back stronger. Humanity had bought time, but the war was far from over. The next moves would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Still, for the first time, humans felt the thrill of victory. They had turned what seemed like a hopeless situation into a demonstration of their greatest strength, their mind. And as the stars shone over their tiny planet, humans prepared for the battles yet to come, knowing that the galaxy would never see them the same way again. The stage was set. The unexpected turning point had arrived, and humanity's story was only just beginning. The humans had surprised the galaxy. The Zyphorian Armada, confident and ruthless, had never imagined a small planet like Earth could defy them. But now, drifting helplessly under the influence of human stun pulses, the mighty warships looked vulnerable. Still, the aliens were not ready to give up. Pride burned in their leaders, and vengeance demanded a response. On the command bridge of Earth's flagship, Commander Elena Voss watched as her sensors tracked every alien ship. The calm in her eyes contrasted sharply with the tension in the room. Officers moved quickly, executing her orders with precision. "Keep the pulses steady," she said. "Do not destroy them. Only control. Every ship we disable is another lesson for them. Let them see humans are not reckless killers. We are thinkers." Her words were met with a quiet nod from her crew. They had trained for this moment, their minds and reflexes sharpened for years. Every human officer knew that one small mistake could mean the end of their planet. Yet, despite the stakes, there was no panic, only focus. The first wave of Zyphorian retaliation came faster than expected. Alien fighters broke off from their formations, speeding toward the human ships with energy cannons firing. Dozens of bolts streaked across space, aiming to annihilate the smaller vessels. But humans had predicted this. Small human interceptor ships darted around, weaving through the barrage with incredible agility. Stun pulses fired from Earth's capital ships hit the enemy fighters mid-flight. Engines died, weapons froze, and the alien pilots were forced to eject. The first strike of the aliens had failed spectacularly. Back on the Zyphorian flagship, the commanders were furious. "How can this be?" shouted the lead officer. "Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy. How can these humans stop us without even killing a single ship?" Commander Voss had been expecting this confusion. She had studied the Zyphorian psychology as carefully as their technology. They relied on aggression and overwhelming force. They never expected subtlety. And that subtlety was now humans' greatest weapon. The next phase of the battle began. Humans executed a series of maneuvers that seemed impossible. Small ships darted into narrow gaps between the alien dreadnoughts, firing precise stun pulses that disabled shields and engines. Alien ships drifted, colliding with each other, their perfectly organized formation collapsing into chaos. It was a strange sight. To the untrained eye, the humans seemed outnumbered and helpless. Yet, every move they made was deliberate, every shot calculated. The aliens, accustomed to brute force, could not predict these tactics. Their pride and arrogance blinded them to the fact that they were being outsmarted. Meanwhile, civilians on Earth watched in disbelief. Live broadcasts of the battle spread across the globe, showing humans maneuvering between alien titans, dodging attacks, and stunning entire fleets without firing a lethal shot. Children cheered. Adults whispered in disbelief. "They're actually doing it," people said. "Our humans, they're winning." The Zyphorian Armada had begun to adapt. Smaller squadrons broke formation, trying to flank the humans. Energy beams fired in patterns designed to trap and destroy. But the humans had already thought of this. Using advanced predictive algorithms and experience from countless simulations, they anticipated every move. Every alien maneuver was countered before it could succeed. One of the largest Zyphorian ships attempted a direct assault on the human flagship. It unleashed a storm of energy that could obliterate an entire city. The humans responded with coordinated precision. Stun pulses hit key energy nodes on the alien ship, overloading systems and shutting down engines. The colossal ship drifted uncontrollably, unable to fire again. The crew of the human flagship cheered silently. This was not victory yet, but it was a sign. The Zyphorians were beginning to understand the futility of brute force against strategy and cunning. Even as the humans gained control, the Zyphorian leaders grew desperate. They had never faced a species that could fight without killing, that could take away their power without destroying them. Panic began to ripple through the ranks. Some captains attempted to retreat, only to find themselves blocked by human ships. The humans predicted escape routes with frightening accuracy. In the midst of this chaos, a group of Zyphorian dreadnoughts tried to combine their power for a massive energy strike. They targeted Earth itself, hoping to intimidate humanity into surrender. But humans were ready. They executed a daring maneuver. 3 human ships acted as decoys, luring the dreadnoughts into a narrow corridor of space, while the rest of the fleet fired stun pulses in perfect synchrony. The effect was immediate. The massive ships froze, engines locked, weapons offline. They drifted harmlessly into space, unable to complete their attack. It was the perfect demonstration of human strategy. Even some aliens began to question their leaders. These humans, how can they be so small and yet so powerful? Their weapons do not kill, yet they dominate our fleet. One officer whispered in disbelief. It's unreal." Commander Voss did not celebrate. She knew the battle was only partially won. There were hundreds of ships still operational, and the Zyphorians were adaptive. They would learn from this defeat and retaliate. Humans had the advantage for now, but the real test was still ahead. And then it happened, the moment that would be remembered across the galaxy. One of the Zyphorian warships, the flagship of a powerful sector, attempted a desperate move. It activated a new weapon, a massive energy cannon designed to obliterate anything in its path. Its target, the human fleet's central command. Human officers froze for a brief second as sensors confirmed the cannon's activation. This was the most dangerous threat yet. Any mistake could mean the destruction of the entire fleet. But Commander Voss remained calm. "Do not panic," she said. "We have anticipated this. Follow the plan." The human ships executed an intricate maneuver, moving in perfect harmony. Stun pulses were fired at key points along the alien flagship systems. Engines faltered, weapons shut down, shields collapsed. The massive cannon, meant to destroy humans in one strike, fizzled out harmlessly. The flagship drifted, powerless and stunned. For a moment, silence filled the human command bridge. Then, slowly, the crew began to realize what had just happened. They had not just defended themselves. They had outsmarted a ship designed to destroy entire fleets. Across the galaxy, observers, Both human and alien watched in awe. This small, blue planet, dismissed for centuries as weak and insignificant, had proven something no one thought possible. Humans were clever, unpredictable, and unafraid. They did not fight like anyone else. They fought with strategy, intelligence, and precision. The Zyphorians, meanwhile, were in shock. Their largest weapons had failed, their formations were collapsing, and their pride was shattered. For the first time in history, a human species had turned the tables on an entire armada without killing a single alien. But Commander Voss knew better than to let her guard down. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "They will come back. And when they do, we must be ready." Even as she spoke, human engineers worked tirelessly to maintain the stun systems, predict enemy movements, and coordinate attacks. Every ship, every officer, every pulse of energy was part of a larger plan. Humans were not just fighting to survive, they were teaching the galaxy a lesson. Strength does not come from weapons alone, but from the mind that wields them. And somewhere, deep in the Zyphorian fleet, a voice trembled. "We underestimated them," it said. We underestimated humans." That admission, quiet but powerful, echoed across the stars. The first strike had been a success. The humans had not only survived, they had dominated. And for the first time, the galaxy began to see that Earth was not weak, that humans were not just another primitive species. The battle was far from over, but one truth was now clear. The unexpected strike of humanity had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Zyphorian Armada was in chaos. What was once a perfectly organized fleet of hundreds of warships had now become a drifting mass of powerless vessels. Engines failed, shields collapsed, and weapons sparked uncontrollably. The aliens had never imagined that a tiny species from a small blue planet could immobilize an entire armada without destroying a single ship. But Commander Elena Voss knew the battle was far from over. The aliens were cunning and ruthless. They would not surrender easily. In fact, desperation made them even more dangerous. Every Zyphorian ship that remained operational could strike with unpredictable fury. The humans needed to stay 2 steps ahead, and that meant thinking faster than any alien could anticipate. "Status report," Voss commanded, her voice calm but firm. Lieutenant Harris, the communications officer, replied. "Most of the enemy fleet is stunned or drifting. Only 20 ships remain fully operational. They are regrouping near the outer quadrant." Voss nodded. "Good. They are predictable now. Prepare the second wave. Target their coordination systems first. Remember, we do not destroy. We control. Every ship we disable teaches them our power." The human ships moved like a single entity, weaving through the battlefield with precision. Smaller vessels darted between the massive Zyphorian dreadnoughts, firing stun pulses at critical points. Larger ships maintained position, controlling the space and predicting enemy maneuvers. Every pulse hit exactly where it was needed, overloading engines, freezing weapons, and collapsing shields. The effect was astonishing. The remaining Zyphorian ships collided with each other, their formations crumbling completely. Systems failed, pilots panicked, and energy cannons misfired. The aliens had fought countless wars before, but they had never faced an opponent who could anticipate every move, disable entire ships, and leave them intact. Inside the Zyphorian flagship, fear was spreading like wildfire. "What is happening?" one officer cried. "We are outmaneuvered, and we cannot even destroy them. How is this possible?" The answer was simple. Humans were thinking differently. They were not just reacting, they were predicting. They were not just firing, they were manipulating the battlefield. Every stun pulse, every movement, every maneuver was a calculated decision, designed to control the enemy and avoid unnecessary destruction. The aliens tried one final tactic. They concentrated their remaining firepower on Earth itself. Massive energy cannons, capable of obliterating continents, aimed directly at the planet. But Voss had anticipated this. She had studied alien psychology and tactics in detail. "They think brute force will work," she said. "Let's show them how wrong they are." 3 human ships acted as decoys, darting in unpredictable patterns to lure the Zyphorian dreadnoughts into a narrow corridor of space. Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet prepared a synchronized stun pulse, aimed at the dreadnoughts' core systems. The moment of impact was perfect. The massive alien ships froze instantly, their engines dead, weapons offline, and shields collapsed. They drifted helplessly, unable to fire or move. The humans had not destroyed them. They had mastered them. In the alien fleet, chaos turned into panic. Officers argued, pilots fled control rooms, and many ships attempted to retreat. But the humans anticipated every escape route. No one got away. Every move the aliens made was countered with precision, and every strike failed. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the civilians watched live broadcasts of the battle. Children cheered, adults gasped in disbelief, and even the most skeptical scientists whispered in awe. They're not just surviving, they're dominating, one commentator said, and they haven't even fired lethal shots. Humanity has rewritten the rules of war. The humans pressed their advantage. Using coordinated maneuvers and predictive tactics, they approached the remaining Zyphorian fleet like a single, unstoppable wave. Small ships infiltrated tight spaces between the massive alien vessels, firing pulses that shut down engines and weapons simultaneously. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their pride was shattered, their confidence destroyed, and their command structure collapsing. One of the most impressive displays came when a massive Zyphorian dreadnought tried to ram Earth's central command station. Its engines roared, energy cannons blazing. But humans anticipated the move. A carefully timed series of stun pulses disabled its engines mid-charge. The ship spun uncontrollably, crashing into the edge of the Armada. Other human ships moved in to block its path and stabilize the situation, ensuring that no harm came to Earth. Even some Zyphorian officers began to doubt their leaders. These humans, they are not just strong. One whispered to his colleague. They are smarter than us. They think faster, act faster, and they are winning without killing a single one of us. The tide had completely turned. Where the Zyphorians had expected domination, they now faced humiliation. Where they had expected destruction, they now encountered control. Humans had shown that power was not just about weapons, size, or aggression. It was about strategy, intelligence, and coordination. But Voss did not allow herself or her crew to become complacent. Stay alert, she warned. They will try anything. They may retreat, they may regroup, or they may attempt a surprise attack. Every second counts. Every move matters. The remaining Zyphorian ships tried to regroup near a nearby asteroid field, hoping the terrain would give them an advantage. But humans were ready. Using advanced sensors and predictive algorithms, they anticipated the alien movements. Small human ships infiltrated the asteroid field, stunning the Zyphorian ships as they tried to hide. One by one, the aliens became immobilized, trapped in the very space they had hoped would protect them. At this point, the human fleet had complete control. The Zyphorian Armada, once feared across the galaxy, was reduced to a collection of helpless ships drifting in space. Yet Voss remained cautious. She knew that the Zyphorians were not defeated by their physical losses. They were defeated by their pride and fear. And fear could make them unpredictable. A message from the alien flagship crackled across the comms. Humans, we underestimated you. How can you control us without destroying us? Voss smiled faintly. Because strength is not in destruction, she replied. It is in control, intelligence, and courage. We have shown you what humans are capable of. Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. Do not underestimate the smallest, or the most underestimated of species. Even as the battle reached its climax, humans continued their maneuvers, ensuring that every alien ship remained immobilized. They did not need to destroy. They only needed to demonstrate mastery. Every ship, every pilot, every pulse of energy contributed to the message. Humans were a force unlike any other. Across the galaxy, observers, both human and alien, took notice. Reports spread of the small blue planet that had dominated a mighty armada without firing lethal shots. Scholars, strategists, and even other alien species began to whisper, "Perhaps we have misunderstood humanity. Perhaps they are not what we thought." But on the human flagship, Voss knew better than anyone. This victory was only the beginning. The Zyphorians had been stunned, yes, but their spirit was not yet broken. They would return, they would adapt, and they would challenge humanity again. The real test of human ingenuity, strategy, and courage was still ahead. And yet, despite the looming threat, there was pride in the hearts of every human officer. They had turned what seemed like impossible odds into a demonstration of skill and intelligence. They had not only survived, they had controlled the galaxy's most feared armada without spilling blood. In the end, the humans had changed the game. They had shown that victory does not always come from power alone, but from the mind that wields it. The Zyphorians had underestimated them, and now the entire galaxy would take note. The tide had turned. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were a force to be reckoned with. And as the human fleet drifted among the stunned alien ships, ready to regroup and prepare for whatever came next, one truth became undeniable. The galaxy had never faced an enemy like humans before, and it would never forget it. The humans had done the impossible. From the first stun pulse to the last, they had turned the mightiest fleet in the galaxy into a drifting mass of powerless ships. Yet, Commander Elena Voss knew the final act had not been played. The Zyphorians were dangerous, adaptive, and ruthless. They would not give up so easily. Victory, she knew, required not just cleverness, but control and timing. "Prepare the final maneuver," she ordered. Her voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "We will end this today, not by destruction, but by proving the humans are the masters of the battlefield." Her crew moved like clockwork. Every officer knew their role. Every ship moved in perfect coordination. Smaller human vessels darted between the massive alien dreadnoughts, firing pulses that disabled engines and shields simultaneously. Larger ships positioned themselves to cut off escape routes, effectively boxing in the remaining Zyphorian forces. From the alien perspective, the situation had grown desperate. Their flagship had failed to command the Armada. Smaller ships were immobilized, and morale had collapsed. Confusion reigned among the ranks. No one dared act without orders, and no orders could fix the damage that humans had inflicted. "Commander," said Lieutenant Harris, "they are trying to regroup near the outer quadrant. They are consolidating their remaining firepower for one final attack." Voss studied the projections on her holoscreen. She could see every movement, every possible escape route, every point of weakness. "Let them gather," she said. "The more confident they feel, the greater their mistake will be." The Zyphorians attempted one last tactic. Their dreadnoughts aimed their energy cannons at each other, preparing a simultaneous strike to destroy the humans' central command. In their arrogance, they assumed humans would react predictably. They underestimated human strategy one last time. The human fleet executed a maneuver that could only be described as genius. Ships moved in synchronization, weaving through the enemy fire, while emitting a massive coordinated stun pulse. It struck at the exact moment the Zyphorians fired, targeting every cannon, engine, and shield simultaneously. The result was breathtaking. Alien ships froze mid-firing, weapons discharging harmlessly into the void, engines stalling as systems overloaded. Dreadnoughts spun uncontrollably, colliding with smaller vessels. The aliens' final attack became their undoing. Every remaining operational ship drifted powerless, stunned, and trapped. From the human flagship, Voss watched as her plan unfolded perfectly. "This is it," she whispered. "Total control without a single life lost." Across the galaxy, observers watched in awe. Humans had not destroyed a single alien ship. They had not fired lethal weapons. Yet they had achieved what no one thought possible: the complete domination of a galactic armada. Scholars, military leaders, and alien races alike would remember this moment for generations. The Zyphorians, humiliated and helpless, could only send a single message: "Humans, you have won, we retreat." And retreat they did. One by one, the massive ships turned away, their pride shattered, their systems disabled, and their commanders forced to concede defeat. The once feared Zyphorian armada limped back into deep space, leaving the humans in full control of the battlefield. But victory was not celebrated immediately. On the human command bridge, there was quiet determination. Every officer knew that the Zyphorians would learn from this defeat and return stronger. Yet, the sense of accomplishment was undeniable. Humanity had done what no other species had managed. They had defeated a superior force with intelligence, precision, and non-lethal tactics. Commander Voss addressed her crew. "Today, we did what no one thought possible. We did not destroy. We did not kill. And yet, we controlled the most powerful armada in the galaxy. Remember this moment. Remember what it means to fight smart, not just hard. Humanity has shown its strength, and the galaxy will never forget it. The crew erupted in cheers, though still mindful of the responsibility ahead. They had won the battle, but the war for respect, recognition, and survival was ongoing. Earth, too, felt the victory. Across the planet, civilians watched live broadcasts of the stunned alien ships drifting helplessly. People poured into the streets, celebrating humanity's ingenuity and courage. Children pointed to the sky, dreaming of a future among the stars. Scientists, politicians, and strategists all realized that Earth had changed overnight. It was no longer just a small blue planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The Zyphorians, meanwhile, were left to recover from the unprecedented humiliation. In every communication hub, commanders questioned their tactics, their pride shattered by a species they had dismissed as weak. They had learned a lesson they would not forget. Intelligence, strategy, and courage can overcome even the most overwhelming force. Back in the human fleet, Voss allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She looked out at the stars, at the drifting alien ships, and knew that humanity had not only survived but had established a new standard in galactic warfare. They had proven that power was not just about destruction. It was about control, foresight, and understanding your enemy better than they understand themselves. The humans began preparations for the next phase. The Zyphorians would return, perhaps with new tactics, new weapons, and renewed aggression. Humanity had to be ready. Engineers worked to improve the stun systems, pilots trained for new maneuvers, and strategists planned for every conceivable scenario. Yet, even as they prepared, there was a sense of pride and confidence. Humans had done what no one believed possible. They had faced the mightiest fleet in the galaxy and emerged victorious, without a single death on either side. Today, we changed the galaxy, Voss said quietly to herself. And this is only the beginning. The humans looked at the stars with a mix of caution and ambition. Their place in the galaxy had been solidified. Their strength had been proven. And their story, once thought small and insignificant, was now legendary. The Zyphorians, humbled and defeated, retreated to regroup. But one message remained clear across the void. Do not underestimate humans. Do not challenge their intelligence. And never, ever assume weakness where none exists. As the human fleet drifted among the stunned ships, Earth's commander allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had seen the unexpected, the brilliant, and the impossible. Humanity had won, not with overwhelming firepower, but with strategy, control, and courage. And somewhere, deep in the stars, other species took note. They whispered, debated, and feared. For the first time, the small blue planet called Earth was recognized as a galactic power, a species to be reckoned with, and a force that would shape the future of the universe. The battle was over. The Zyphorians had retreated. Humanity had emerged victorious. But the story was far from complete. New threats, new challenges, and new adventures awaited among the stars. And humanity, clever, brave, and unstoppable, would be ready. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans were not just survivors. They were masters.